Washington cemented his status as America's citizen-in-chief in a single dramatic act, resigning his commission and surrendering his power as commander of American forces at the end of the Revolutionary War. As we know from countless subsequent revolutions in world history, this is always the hard part. It's not that difficult to rebel against authority. The difficult part is once you get in charge and to have the integrity to give up power. The problem is neatly captured in a famous story from the Constitutional Convention. When Franklin left Independence Hall, he was asked by a woman, "Well, doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" And he famously replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Those are very haunting words, if you can keep it. And keeping a republic requires active citizens. And so the solution was civics education, training in the principles of Republican government and virtuous citizenship. Well, for George Washington, education was especially crucial to the survival of America's Republican experiment. Washington's efforts began with his own family. He supported the education of his nieces, his nephews, the children of his friends and acquaintances. So he sent his stepson to King's College in New York City, which is today Columbia. Well, the more normal route for an aspiring Virginia gentleman would have been to go to William and Mary. But Washington wanted Jackie to shed his local prejudices, and he wanted him to embrace the emerging American Union. And from the very start, he wanted the district to include a national university. He didn't like the idea of America's youth going over to Europe to become educated. He thought they'd become corrupted by aristocratic influences. And so he had this idea that children would come, young people would come from all over the United States to the federal district, and they would stop being just Virginians and New Yorkers and South Carolinians, and they would begin to become Americans.
An education system should be one of the ways in which America became a meritocracy. And very smart people from modest means would, through a system of general education, be brought to light into positions of great leadership. But let's remember another side to the generation, to the years following the Revolution, which became years of turmoil. So the other theme that began to emerge in the Republican generation was one of order, and this juxtaposition of liberty and order, I'm going to argue to you tonight, has been the framing dilemma of American citizenship and American civics education from the very beginning. Thus, progressive education is a paradox. On the one hand, it was the heyday of John Dewey, calling for education in Jeffersonian, almost Rousseauian tones as the key to unlock the vast potential in each and every American, liberating individuals from the structures of race and class and creating a society that he called and hoped would be worthy, harmonious, and whole. On the other hand, the progressive period saw the rise of the educational manifestation of industrial America, in which order was the primary goal. In the end, the specifications laid down were both economic and civic. They placed a premium on the virtues of discipline, obedience, and order that were expressed not just in civics lessons, but in the very organization of the school and its culture, which had moved toward a system of rules, bells, and impersonal assembly line routine. Today, I fear that we are too much fans of order and not enough of liberty. We've forgotten this most basic connection between the idea of public education and to create citizens who are active, who are powerful, and who are impassioned in the continuing project of creating an American democracy. The idea of democracy needs to be debated, refreshed, and contended in each generation. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of our country?